The new episode is sure to surprise us, and all the info we have only confirms that. Jax, Zubal, Gangle, a new adventure. This is just a part of what we're diving into today. A new adventure at the fast food restaurant Spudsy's is waiting for everyone. And finally, we'll get to see the mysterious Orbsman. Based on some leaks and theories, I'll tell you what the new adventure will be about, who it will be life-changing for, who won't be taking part in this adventure, and much more. First, let me remind you that the new episode will focus on Gangle, and she'll be the manager of Spudsy's, which means this day will be unforgettable for someone. But to understand how things will unfold in episode 4, we need to look back at how it all happened in previous episodes. In the pilot episode, the adventure was dedicated to the Gloinks.
Oh God! Oh Jesus!
All the characters were divided into two groups.
You, me, and Pomni will go check on Kaufmo, which leaves Crybaby and Hoo-Ha together to go handle the Zubal situation.
While one group set out to search for Kaufmo,
Okay, wait. Maybe there's still time to fix him before we get caned.
the others were tasked with finding Zubal.
I don't know what I'm looking at here.
We saw Gloink carry one of Zubal's pieces down there, remember?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for the recap.
The Gloinks Queen was the first villain we saw in the digital circus, and even then we learned that Jax can flirt with them.
I am Gloinks. You will be Gloinks. God will be Gloinks.
This is dumb and weird.
Well,
For Pomni, the adventure didn't go quite as planned, and back then, many were theorizing that Pomni might also be an administrator since she was able to find the exit and nearly escaped the digital circus.
Oh no! Someone's venturing out into the void! They'll get totally spoiled! There you go!
But now it's becoming clear that it was just part of the adventure. In the second episode, events unfolded in a similar way. Again, all the characters split up, but this time Pomni ended up in a group by herself.
Where are we? What's all this?
I don't know. We're somewhere under the map, I think.
By the way, that's when we learned that NPCs can gain self-awareness.
Why aren't you or any of your crew up here?
I'm not sure. Because we're not, NPCs?
NPCs, what are you on about?
And this was groundbreaking news, as it raised questions about the humanity of some characters. And once again, Jax tried to flirt with the villain, but this time he got much luckier.
I happen to know a way into the Kingdom Walls, if you'd be willing to help us out in return.
Hey, when did you?
Shut up, Licorice Hair.
Even though he was unhappy with his situation towards the end of the adventure, in the very last moments, his desires were fully satisfied.
Oh, hey, maybe I didn't leave the gate unlocked for nothing after all.
What? I thought he was dead. You still did that? Okay, wait. You did what now?
Well, love to help you again sometime. Bye!
And in the third episode, the situation was similar again. The characters split into two groups, but this time, it was Jax's fault.
Which door should we choose?
Not sure. Let's try this out.
Don't worry, Gangle, I'll get it for you!
Oh, that's the scary door.
Once again, new monsters and another nightmare for Pomni. This not only proved that Pomni suffers the most in the digital circus, but also shed light on Kinger and his behavior.
Why? Every day I spend here is one nightmare after the next. I knew it would end up like this. He just wants me to suffer. I really am in hell.
Don't say that. You're not in.
In the end, we have a pretty clear structure. At first, things go fairly well for everyone, until a small incident happens, forcing the characters to split into two groups. And then, something terrible always happens to someone, which eventually brings a twisted sense of joy to their eyes.
So what was it like being stuck with the nutcase?
It wasn't that bad, actually.
The pilot episode was an exception. Aside from horror and fear, at least Pomni felt nothing else. Now, let's talk about episode 4. Each new episode begins right after the previous one ends. Kane will, as usual, delight everyone with a new adventure. This time, our team will head to a modern city where they need to find an establishment where a visitor has been waiting for a long time and is never satisfied. As you might have guessed, that establishment is Spudsy's, and that very visitor is Orbsman. There will also be a small split this time, but I think Pomni will stay with the others, while Gangle will separate from the group. After our friends find Spudsy's and finally manage to satisfy Orbsman's tastes, the fun begins. A conversation takes place between Orbsman and Gangle, during which Gangle shares everything that's been bothering her. The flaws of the digital circus.
Oh no, they killed Zubal. Anyway, you guys want to go get something to eat?
But her main problem is Jax, which she brings up to Orbsman.
They broke my comedy mask.
So, Kane, we having a new adventure today for the newbie or what? Do it, it'll be epic.
Why are there so many knives back here?
Do it, or I'll tell Ragatha about the figurine thing.
After hearing all of this, Orbsman immediately understood what needed to be done and told Gangle about it. Let's recall the musical adventure where we were shown a mysterious shampoo featuring Orbsman. I learned about a theory that suggests this isn't just a funny fragment, but a reference to Jax's punishment in episode 4. In this case, the shampoo serves as a kind of symbol. If the characters are in a fast food establishment that's constantly filled with people, then there's bound to be a lot of dirt, meaning the shampoo could be a hint towards some kind of floor cleaning solution. Orbsman hinted at this, since, as we know, Gangle will be the manager, giving her the authority to give orders to her subordinates. Now, Jax will become her target to take revenge for all the bullying Gangle has endured for such a long time.
Alright, Gangle, when we catch up to him, I'll jump over, crawl inside, and shoot him repeatedly until they're unrecognizable.
I feel like that violates some kind of convention.
You're violating my ears with your clapback. Get driving.
Jax will try to escape and avoid punishment, but the toothy administrator will quickly bring him back to his place. It's also very interesting to see Zubal, who will participate in the new adventure for the first time, something that once seemed impossible.
I'm testing out a new AI in this one. It should be 57 times more immersive.
Ooh, a new AI. You don't want to mess with the new AI, Zuby?
Yeah, no.
We see Zubal with a very strange hand that resembles a spatula for frying meat. Apparently, she will be responsible for preparing the patties for the burgers. Judging by her facial expression, it's clear that she doesn't enjoy this experience. And most likely, after this, Zubal will never return to the adventures. Based on her appearance, it seems that Kane didn't listen to her concerns and left everything as it is.
It's me, remember? I don't like myself. I hate this body. I hate all these stupid removable pieces.
Starting from the pilot episode, we observed the relationship between Pomni and Ragatha, and it was only in episode 3 that we saw they had truly become close.
Hey, Ragatha.
Yeah?
I just want to say thanks for always being concerned about me. I feel like through everything, I haven't really been appreciative enough about that.
I think this will be the first adventure where Pomni won't experience any fear or humiliation. Instead, she and Ragatha will simply enjoy making burgers and other dishes together. But the one who is truly interesting is Kinger, who is completely absent from the new adventure. According to that leak, we won't see him at Spudsy's, but that doesn't mean we won't see him in episode 4. The therapy session between Kane and Zubal didn't go very well for Zubal, but in Kane's opinion, the session went splendidly.
Starting to wonder if the Wild West was even a real direction at all.
This means there's a possibility that Kane won't allow Kinger to join the adventure and will decide to work through all of his issues instead.
Right after my wife had abstracted, I don't recall the exact string of events, but we both ended up in the fort together. And it was dark. The darkness seemed to calm her down a bit.
What do you think about episode 4, and what are your assumptions and theories about the new adventure? I'm looking forward to your responses in the comments. Episode 4 is definitely going to blow our minds, because even though it's going to focus on Gangle, we'll finally get to see what Jax's behavior leads to and what Kane's going to do about him. The first 3 episodes and even some of Gooseworx's posts have been practically screaming at us about this. But first, let's take a moment to remember what went down with Jax in episode 3.
Always having the silliest priorities.
Don't I know it?
If your friends see him, I only hope he doesn't bore them to death with his endless monologues. That man could turn a 57-second story into a Greek tragedy.
And if you think tying up and gagging Jax was the ultimate humiliation, Just wait till you see how he moved around Mildenhall Manor. All of this is crucial for understanding what's going to happen to Jax in episode 4.
Feel free to visit anytime.
Definitely.
Congratulations, my little ironclad waffle cones! You've taken the pacifist route, and you should be proud of what good people you are. Unfortunately, we still need to wait until your other teammates finish their adventure before I can grant you permission to leave.
I wonder how long that'll be.
Looking back at the announcement of Season 1 of The Amazing Digital Circus, we realize we've already seen almost everything that was teased, and the only new character left is Orbsman, who runs the fast food joint Spudsies. And since Goose and Glitch have been showing us things in order, it's pretty much a fact that Episode 4 will focus entirely on this location. By the way, there's a theory that we'll get to see that stadium, but that's for another video. We also see that Jax is one of Orbsman's subordinates.
And let's not forget about minimum wage labor!
But why does this happen to Jax in Episode 4, you ask? Well, it's actually pretty simple. The answer is Zubal. She's the one who will play a key role in making Jax experience all the joys of the Digital Circus adventures. Everyone knows there's something unusual between these two characters.
And Zubal turned straight.
My limbs straighten up and fuck off.
What about you?
He refuses to show us because he's a coward.
I want to keep the mystery alive. If there was a way to leave, I'm pretty sure we'd have all left by now.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Ooh, a new AI. You don't want to mess with the new AI, Zuby?
Yeah, no. Wait, Pomni's not even here? Wasn't this whole thing for her?
Be quiet. I can't hear the escalator.
And don't forget what she said about him during the therapy session.
Jax just likes to fuck with everybody.
Remember one of Gooseworx' posts on Tumblr where Goose straight up said that Zubal's best look will be in episode 4? That means there's a good chance Kane actually listened to Zubal's problem.
It's me, remember? I don't like myself. I hate this body. I hate all these stupid removable pieces. I just want to find something that feels good.
No one knows what Kane and Zubal talked about from that moment up until the final therapy scene. And since Kane fully opened up to Zubal, it's likely he now considers her a friend, which means he might actually fulfill some of her requests beyond just fixing her body. Zubal genuinely cares about everyone else, and she's definitely not a fan of what's happening when Jax starts his jokes and bullying again.
Ladies first. No, wait, why would I say that?
Don't exactly...
You can't.
What?
Shut up, Jax.
Based on what Kane does, it's clear that Zubal asked him to somehow punish Jax, and Kane was able to fulfill her request. With his behavior, Jax has turned not only all the residents of the Digital Circus against him,
What happened up here?
Don't worry about that.
but he also seems to have caught Kane's attention as the biggest troublemaker getting in the way of everyone enjoying their new adventures.
Hey, Gangle. You should ram into him.
What? You should not ram them. Pomni's still on board.
Do it. It'll be epic.
Why are there so many knives back here?
Do it, or I'll tell Ragatha about the figurine thing.
What? Jax!
What? I thought we were supposed to capture all the ghosts.
Which door should we choose?
Not sure. Let's try this out.
Kane asked Zubal to keep a closer eye on Jax, which was hinted at in one of Gooseworx' posts. Now let's discuss what exactly is going to happen to Jax in the new episode, and whether it'll help the other residents of the Amazing Digital Circus live more peacefully and actually enjoy their new adventures, instead of waiting for Jax to pull some new stunt.
As I was saying, I happen to know a way into the Kingdom Walls, if you'd be willing to help us out in return.
Hey, when did you...
Shut up, Licorice Hair. Oh, hey, maybe I didn't leave the gate unlocked for nothing after all.
What? I thought he was dead. You still did that? Okay, wait. You did what now?
Well, love to help you again sometime. Bye!
We already know for sure that Spudsies will be the main location for the adventure in episode 4, and that Orbsman will be the manager everyone hates and fears. As we can understand, each character will have their own job, and Jax along with Gangle will end up at this fast food joint. Gangle will definitely be there for 2 reasons. First, episode 4 will reveal more about her since she's the main character of this episode. Second, Gangle suffers the most from Jax's jokes and bullying. So, Kane decided to shake things up a bit, and now Gangle will be the character who bullies and makes Jax's life difficult, while Orbsman as the main NPC of the new episode, will help her with that. Let's not forget Gummy Goo, who gained self-awareness and broke out of the usual NPC mold.
I'm not sure. Because we are not, NPCs?
NPCs, what are you on about? What am I? Where's Mum?
You have a mom?
Shouldn't she be here with everyone else? I can't even remember her face. Did she ever have a face? Was anything ever real?
Okay, wait, don't think about that.
This means that any so-called main NPC can potentially do this. Despite the constant advancements in technology to protect against NPC infiltration, the NPCs themselves are also getting better. This suggests that Orbsman could very well gain self-awareness, and after hearing about all of Jax's actions, he's likely to get really angry, which is bad news for Jax but good for everyone else. Let's recall the musical adventure where we saw some shampoo with Orbsman's image. That's probably a hint about what Jax will be up to. In this case, we can think of the shampoo as a floor cleaner, so Jax will be cleaning floors at Spudsy's, and the floors will somehow always be dirty. But I think Orbsman and Gangle won't stop there. Jax will be a janitor, a dishwasher, a cashier, and a waiter dealing with the most awful customers. In the announcement, Kane mentioned a minimum wage, which means each character will get a monetary reward for this adventure that they'll need in town to buy something. Everyone will receive a nice sum, of course, except for Jax. This will show him the unfairness of the world, and that his attitude toward others has been completely wrong. At least that's how Kane envisioned it. But will this actually fix Jax, or will he just continue to create chaos? But before that, let me explain why I'm so sure that Orbsman will gain self-awareness. The episode is focused on Gangle, so we'll learn about all her feelings and thoughts. But since only Jax, Gangle, and Orbsman will be in this location, Gangle will need to talk to a living being to vent, not just an NPC. Since Jax will be busy, this will fall to the upgraded Orbsman. Now we have an idea of what will happen to Jax in the new episode. It's time to discuss whether Kane and the others can fix Jax, or if he'll forever remain the nasty character who disrupts everyone's lives. After the events of episode 4, Jax will seriously reflect on what he's been doing wrong, and for a while, everyone's lives will improve. But if we remember one of Gooseworx's posts, we'll understand that Jax isn't just acting out for no reason. He's genuinely mentally ill, and his behavior is a result of all the trauma he's experienced in the digital circus before the pilot episode and in real life. It's important to note that after this adventure, everyone else will be able to learn how to interact with Jax, and he won't be as much of a problem for them as he used to be, especially for Gangle, who will realize that this rabbit isn't as invulnerable as he might have seemed before. I believe episode 4 will be the turning point where we start to see the real Jax, but his behavior probably won't change much, as Gooseworx's words pretty much confirm this. We'll find out soon, since episode 4 is already about 60 to 70% complete. In every new episode, we kept seeing different versions of Zubal, and it was pretty clear she wasn't vibing with her body. But after therapy, we finally got the official word, and now we're about to meet Zubal's new look in the upcoming episode 4. Let's take a quick flashback to what Zubal had to say about her body.
It's me, remember? I don't like myself. I hate this body. I hate all these stupid removable pieces. I just want to find something that feels good.
Oh, yeah, now I remember why I couldn't remember. It's because that problem is already solved. Simply swap out your undesirable Zubal parts for better ones.
I've been trying to find parts I like since the day I got here.
In my previous video, I mentioned that one way to solve the issue could be a new body. If episode 3 gave us a little bit of a heads up on that, episode 4 is really going to show us a whole new Zubal who's finally comfortable in her own skin. Also, remember that teaser we got over a year ago, where we were introduced to the characters? It gave us a sneak peek at this issue, but that's not all. We need to go back to another old concept art, where Zubal is shown looking really strange. This leak, though, confirms that Zubal can literally change any part of her body, including her head. And honestly, I think the head is the biggest issue for her. Just look at that triangle. No way that's comfortable. So, before we get into the reveal of Zubal's new head, let's take a look at her box of limbs. He also showed up in the new episode, in that old leak of Zubal's room, and of course, in the old concept art. Plus, one of the fans straight up asked Gooseworx what limits Zubal has when it comes to limbs, and Gooseworx said there are none. So we've got this box of endless limbs, and they're really going to come in handy in episode 4. In Zubal's room, we spot this tiny green triangle, and even though there's a theory that it's her final head, it's definitely not. The thing's way too small to be ready, and it's not going to be comfortable for Zubal. It's more likely just some accessory that changes with each episode. Honestly, I think the perfect head shape for Zubal would be a square, and maybe it'll even be green, since that color's just chilling by itself. But there's also another small detail on her head that's easy to miss: her weird eye. One of Zubal's eyes is normal, but the other one looks more like a knockoff. Sure, Zubal can move it around and maybe even see a little with it, but it's nowhere near the quality of a regular eye. Gooseworx mentioned that this eye can be replaced, and ideally it should be, since it'd really improve Zubal's quality of life. But since everyone's gotten so used to her eyes, and Zubal's probably used to them too, nothing's likely going to change. Even in the leak, Zubal's looking for her eye, not asking for a new one. Even though Zubal's body doesn't change from episode to episode, we do see something totally new in the leak. Don't worry though, that monstrosity isn't going to show up on Zubal, at least because that would create total chaos. If she hates her bent arms, she's definitely not adding that body. I think her body's going to stay the same as in the previous episodes, but the only thing that might change is the color. Now, let's move on to the most interesting limbs, her arms and legs. Let's remember what Zubal said about her limbs.
Gangle's mask starts spinning, and Zubal turns straight.
My limbs straighten up and f*** off.
What about you?
He refuses to show us because he's a coward.
I want to keep the mystery alive.
If her body has limbs with those bends in them, then when she holds her breath, they probably straighten out. And that's likely uncomfortable for Zubal, maybe even painful. Looking at the old concept art, we don't see her usual claw, and her arms are exactly the same as what we see in episode 3. When you check out the arms of the other characters, except for Gangle, they all look pretty human, which is why they can interact with the digital circus without any issues. That claw has practically become a symbol for Zubal at this point. We see it in the room leak, it stands out in her box of limbs, and from the very beginning, Zubal's had that claw. In episode 2, things got even worse with her arm, but episode 3 seems like it gave her some hope for normal hands. If she could swap out her right hand to match her left, it would make her life so much easier. Now let's talk about another key part of the human body: legs. In the older leaks, we saw how tough it is for Zubal to move around on those legs, and the scenes from the previous episodes have only confirmed that.
Yeah, no.
Well, sounds fun. What do you think, Pomni?
Sheesh, I thought he'd never leave.
We've often seen her with one good leg, while the other one's just a mess, honestly. But again, episode 3 was a game changer because now both of her legs finally look more human and comfortable for Zubal. Think back to the pilot and episode 2. One of her legs seemed perfect for her. So you might be asking, why did Zubal swap that leg for a new one in episode 3 then? Like I've said before, Zubal's always been a little quirky, and she's still figuring out who she is. Changing her limbs is the only way she can find some happiness in the digital circus. That's why she keeps experimenting to find the ideal setup. But even in that concept art, we still see that same purple leg. Now let's remember the box that Cain gave Zubal. Notice how there's an orange leg that looks just like the purple one. Chances are, in episode 4, we'll see her rocking 2 matching legs, but in different colors. So what we're looking at here is Zubal finally getting the perfect body that'll let her feel comfortable and join in on new adventures with everyone else. Only then will Zubal finally close that major chapter of her life that's been haunting her, and we'll get to see a genuinely happy Zubal. Up until now, she's always been sad, a little blunt, and straight up rough around the edges, but we've never seen her truly happy. Now let's dive into the reality of the digital circus and see how likely this is to happen in the next episode. Cain's the boss of the digital circus, and he can pretty much do anything, including giving Zubal the parts that fit her perfectly. After all, finding them in that endless box of limbs could take forever. But as we know, Cain's main focus isn't really the well-being of the circus residents. It's all about setting up new adventures for them. He's always hard at work planning those, but doesn't really pay much attention to their problems, as Zubal herself pointed out during the therapy session.
No, I mean, I've already told you what my problem is. You just never remember because Never mind.
My mind is a beeswax polished coconut. Nothing ever escapes these cakes. So what can I do to make my adventures more appealing to you?
See? This is exactly what I'm talking about. All you're thinking about is your adventures. It has nothing to do with the adventures, it's more just...
But after that therapy session, we saw that Kane can actually show some emotion and be vulnerable, which seemed impossible before. And a huge part of that is thanks to Zubal. I'm convinced that after that conversation, Kane realized that adventures aren't the only thing that matters in the digital circus. It's also about the everyday lives of its residents. And since Zubal is now closer to Kane than anyone else, I think it makes sense that he'll start with her. I'm 99% sure that's what's going to happen. As a way of saying thanks, I believe Kane will make Zubal's life easier in episode 4, and I'm beyond excited about that. Also, let's not forget what Zubal said about no one liking Kane's adventures. There's something important hidden in that line, and I think it's tied to the new Zubal we'll see in the next episode.
Just forget it.
Forget what?
Kane, nobody likes your stupid adventures.
Ha ha! Good one, Zubal.
Ragatha's just too nice to say anything. Jax just likes to f*** with everybody. Gangle's too shy to speak up. Kinger's insane. And Pomni, she looks traumatized every time she comes back from one.
Oh, Zubal, Zubal, Zubal. Making adventures is my art.
Jax has always been known for his jokes and pranks, which honestly feel more like bullying. And the relationship between him and Zubal has practically become legendary. But is it really as straightforward as it seems?
Ooh, a new AI. You don't want to mess with the new AI, Zuby?
Yeah, no.
Zubal isn't just cold toward Jax. She's distant with everyone. And by now, it's pretty clear that a lot of it comes down to her uncomfortable body, which causes her pain. Because of that, she can't even have a normal conversation with anyone.
Man, I can't believe Kaufmo just gave up like that. I mean, no offense, Kinger, but I always thought you would be next.
Thank you.
Once she gets her new body, all of that's going to change. We've already seen that Zubal is capable of showing kindness to others, like in the scene at Kaufmo's funeral.
Got everything ready. Hey.
In the end, we're going to get a whole new Zubal who'll bring joy through her interactions with everyone else. That'll definitely make the digital circus a lot brighter than it was before, at least for Zubal. What kind of look do you think would suit Zubal? Let me know in the comments. And for now, see you soon. Stay tuned for a video that's going to change the way you think about some of the characters.